Hey guys, good evening. I hope I'm pretty much audible as well as visible. Just a quick hi or hello in the chat, guys, if I'm audible as well as visible to you. So that'll make my job easier. So looks okay to me. But again, if any issues, any technical issues, do let me know in the chat. Great. So we are I think good to go anyway. And a warm welcome to one and all present in the chat today. So as per our today's agenda, we'll be going through the natural language processing, right? So we have been discussing about NLP yesterday also. So we discussed about a lot of conceptual aspects, like we talked about the various concepts involved in NLP. But yeah, so we did not discuss about how we're gonna implement that, right? So and then we at the end we also talked about NLTK, so which is like natural language toolkit available in Python. So again, NLTK is not the only package, but I would say it's one of the most prominently used package. And the good part is it is in Python. So we're talking about Python in data science. So that's most prominently used, right? But again, if you go for other languages, there are some other ways also where you can process the text. Cool. So with this, let's start. But anyway, and if anybody has any questions on the previous discussions we had, so we have been talking about the concepts of natural language. So we covered about the various stages. You remember, right? So morphological, syntax, semantic, and pragmatic analysis, tokens, and all that. So context. If anybody has any problem in understanding the background of NLP, right? So do let me know, because today once we move into the functions of NLP, we'll be actually using all of those individual concepts which we actually studied yesterday, right? So it's actually important, and I would say good to know before jumping into the codes, right? So the concepts are always the base of everything, right? So if anybody has any issues, do let me know in the chat, right? But again, before anything else, as always, let's start with the basic round of introduction. As you know, guys, my name is Arpit Jain. I'm a senior data scientist myself. I have almost 9 years of industry experience, and I've been working into multiple domains. Like I've seen finance, manufacturing, automobile, telecommunication, so multiple sectors. So that's the benefit of being into data science, to be honest. And also along with that, I'm also a motivational speaker. So I take career mentorships. I talk to students regarding their industry sessions. So I talk to them regarding their jobs, regarding the career. So if anybody has any issues regarding your career or job or data science whatsoever, do feel free to put up your questions in the chat, so we can always talk on that. So as part of our subjects, we will be talking about Python, SQL, and data science. So Python, we have already started almost, I would say 3 months back, and we have covered quite a lot of good things there. So recently we finished Python. Additionally we finished NumPy on Python, right? And post this, we're gonna start, once we finish the NLP sessions on data science part, we are planning to start some online problem live solving on HackerRank problems, most probably. So we'll be doing some live problem solving of HackerRank problems. Cool. And also we have SQL. So SQL, again, one of the very key important skill sets for data scientists. So it's very important key skill sets. So we also started SQL. So we have covered the basics there. But now we are into the problem solving. So we are doing it from HackerRank. So HackerRank lead code, that's what we'll be doing for SQL problem solving. Data science also we have started. We finished a visualization part, and post that we are into natural language processing. So we'll be finishing this and jumping to other topics, right? Also along with that, you have a code right in front of your screen, guys, Python 10. So you already know this. So if you use this code Python 10, you're gonna get a free ReLevel sample test paper. You know that, right? So again, as always, please bear with me. It's a mandatory promotion. I have to do that. So many a times candidates do miss out on the great opportunities due to multiple reasons. So it could be like they don't have a better degree, or they have a poor networking, right? So they don't know the right people to talk to for their references. Also, they don't have the degree from tier A universities, which might give a little push to your job, right? So, but again, I would say it's more of the towards the starting of your career. But again, yeah, it too depends. Also, the resumes with which you are applying for the jobs, it's not really standing out. So because there are at least 100 other applicants for the same job, right? So there might be some issue in your resume, like your resume is missing some of the keywords, and also there is something which is totally beyond your control, right? So, and also along with that, you're applying to say 100 odd jobs and still not getting even a single call for your interview, right? So, very practical problem. So, everybody faces this. So, you're not the only person, trust me on that. So, if at all you are facing these problems, to tackle these issues, only ReLevel has been introduced. It's like one of the India's first test hiring platform by Unacademy, which is helping you to take your dream job, right? So how exactly it works here, your job is purely based on your skills and talent, and you're not dependent on any sort of degree or people for your networking purpose, right? So the job is purely based on your skills and talent. So if you're knowledgeable enough, if you have the skills, you will be getting a job. So how does it work here? So it's more of a testing platform. So first you will be asked to choose the test basically of choice, that's like portfolio which you want to be part of, and for that portfolio you will be actually asked to go for an assessment, and based on the score, based on the assessment score, you will be actually able to create your profile, ReLevel profile, and then the companies will start reaching out to you based on that assessment score, right? So the only expectation from you is to get the best score out of this assessment and nothing beyond that, right? And so I mean, definitely if you're skilled enough, if you have the knowledge, you should be able to get the best score, right? Along with that, there are certain other benefits also involved if you participate in this ReLevel testing platform. And those include, like there are at least 50 plus companies which are hiring directly from the ReLevel platform. And these include the top startups and even the unicorns, including ENY, Upgrad, Cred, Razorpay, Urban Company, and many more. So these companies are hiring directly from the ReLevel platform. Also, there are at least 1,000 plus open job positions across three different portfolios right now: business development, front end development, and the back end development. This is completely online, so you're not supposed to be physically present anywhere to participate in this test. So you can take this from the comfort of your home and in the comfort of your time. And also, this is completely free, guys. You're not paying even a single penny to attempt this test, so it's completely free. The only expectation from you is you are expected to finish this entire test in a single day's time, okay? Because there'll be multiple rounds. You have to finish this in a single day, and that day could be of your choice, right? And once you have finished the test, the scores will be revealed in a week's time, right? So, I mean, unfortunately, if you do not, if you're not able to score the qualifying criteria, so yeah, there is a qualifying score. You're expected to score at least 70% of marks here. So, right now it's for 1,000 marks. So, you are expected to score 700 out of 1,000. So, that's the bare minimum criteria. It's a qualifying score to make your ReLevel profile. Unfortunately, if you're not able to meet up that score, you can always reattempt the test, but that can happen only after 30 days of your first attempt. So there has to be a time gap of 30 days, right? And also, there are certain exciting goodies involved. So if you're one of the top scorers in a particular category in a month, you will be awarded with some exciting goodies like MacBook, iPhone, and all that. So with this ReLevel, guys, you are in a unique position to invite interest from companies instead of hunting for your own opportunities, right? So once you have given the test, sit back and relax. The companies will start reaching out to you based on your score. Registration also is quite easy, guys. You have the link there in the YouTube description. Please go through that. Once you select that, the very first option will be for you would be to select the test of your choice. The three options: business development, front end, and the back end development. Multiple roles available within these, like the sales associate, customer engagement associate in business development, Angular web developer in front end, backend engineer, data engineer in the backend development. So depending on your role, depending on your portfolio which you want to be part of, you can always choose a test of your choice. The next thing would be to select the date of your test, right? Slots are limited. As I said, it's a beta platform. I would suggest you to book it fast. So you will be getting the test dates of your choice. So I would request you to select the test date when you want to give the ReLevel test, right? And post that, you will be asked to fill up your admit card details, right? So like the basic demographics. So here you have the full name, email ID, birth year, current state. Along with that, you have the gender, right? And then you have an option of your promo code. So in this promo code, as I've said, so you can use the code Python 10. So once you're going to use that code Python 10, you'll be actually unlocking the bonus sample test paper for you, right? So do not forget to use the promo code Python 10 here. Once you have done that, you should be able to jump to your dashboard. So here you have a tab of practice tab, where you should be able to see the sample test paper. So you can always download this and then practice at the comfort of your home and the comfort of your time. So do not, and these questions are almost a replica of questions which you can expect in the ReLevel platform, right? So that's gonna be beneficial for you. So with this, guys, I would definitely highly recommend you to register for the ReLevel platform today. Since I have said there is no cost involved in this, so I don't see a challenge in at least applying it for once. Try it for once. I mean, if you feel that you're not getting benefited, please, you can always take your decisions elsewise, right? But at least it's for free, so you can try it for once, right? Also, we have an official Telegram channel, so link is again there in the YouTube description. Please join this channel. It's one of the this channel is basically for your one stop for all the upcoming schedules and classes. So it's one place stop for your classes and schedules. So you will not be supposed to run here and there for your classes. So it's just a one place stop for you. So with this, guys, at last I would recommend you to please do like, share the video. If you feel that you're getting benefited, the least which we can expect from you is to like the video, right? So with this, guys, we are into our content. So we are talking about the NLP functions. So again, if anybody has any questions on talking about my whatever we have discussed so far, do let me know, or else I'll just quickly jump to our agenda for today. Just give me a minute. I'm processing that. Yeah, I hope my screen is visible. Right. Just give me a minute. Right. Cool. So with this, we are talking about my NLP, and NLP, we know we are talking about NLTK. So how are you going to implement a natural language processing things in Python, right? So there are a lot of ways, as I said. So in Python, the most prominent package which we have, the high level API, is NLTK, right? So NLTK basically have it's a package. So and then the standard way of installing the package you're already aware of. So we can use the pip standard pip installer, or you can also use the Conda installer if you have the Anaconda platform. So you can also do it through UI of Anaconda or the CLI of Conda install, whatever. So pip install basic command NLTK. NLTK is the package name. Okay. So once you have at the NLTK installed, the next thing I would request you to do is NLTK.download. Okay. So what it does, it opens up a UI. It opens up a toggle basically. And here you should be able to see all the dependent functionalities under my NLTK. So NLTK has a lot of sub functionalities, like I'll be talking about corpus. I'll be talking about some other concepts also. So what it does, NLTK, when you do NLTK to download, right, it'll by default loads up all the dependent modules available under NLTK, right? So it'll make your job easier, right? So once you install NLTK, do this NLTK.download. So you should be able to get all the dependent modules imported on your local machine, right? So that's the basic thing. Now the very first concept, guys, is tokenization. You remembered about my first step. You remembered about the steps, right? If anybody can repeat this, the very first step for any of our a natural language processing task is tokenization, or the morphological process, right? Where we are splitting our a text into tokens or the words. So if it is a sentence, I'm going to break it up into smaller words. Like the components of the sentences are words, right? And likewise, if I have a paragraph, and for me the tokens are the sentences, the smaller bit of information for the entire information, right? So for the sentences, it's the individual words, and for the paragraphs, it's the individual sentences, right? And in turn, for the sentences, the tokens would be my words, right? Hello Sandeep, thank you for joining in. So now that's what we'll be doing here. So we have discussed about tokenization, and now here I'll be talking about how we exactly do the tokenization. So as I said, it's basically a process of breaking up a piece of text into smaller parts, such as the sentences or words. So if the bigger piece of information is a sentence, the smaller piece would be words, and if the bigger piece is a paragraph, then the smaller piece would be sentences. And in turn, for the sentences, the sub smaller pieces would be words. And these smaller parts are called as tokens, right? So as I'm talking about, so we can definitely consider tokenization as the base step for the recipes for other concepts such as stemming, lemmatization, or bag of words. There are a lot of sub concepts. So tokenization is my entry step for any of my text analysis, right? So that's my very first step, right? And here in the NLTK package, we have a module called as Tokenize. Okay, and how we're gonna call that? So it's like a object-oriented programming in Python, right? So we're gonna call a tokenize on top of my NLTK. So NLTK.tokenize is basically my module available on NLTK, which is achieving the process of tokenization, right? And we have also called as word tokenize, which is also doing the similar work of a word tokenization. And now let's see how exactly it works. So now look at this. So don't look at this for now. I've just tested it. Now look at this. So what I've done is I have actually imported the NLTK package, and also from NLTK the module is tokenize, and the function name is word tokenize. Okay, I'm going to call this the function word tokenize, which is available under my module tokenize, and this word tokenize is actually going to split my individual sentences into pieces. Pieces means like my smaller basically words, right? Now look at this. So word tokenize is basically my function, and now once you do that, basic split function, right? So you know that, I mean, it's not actually split happening. There's a separate kind of logic behind, but yeah, as you can see this, now I have a list of sub element, which is my words here. So now this is my entry step, right? So as I was talking about the morphological step, my very first step is to break up my information into smaller chunks of pieces, right? And then we'll do a lot of things, like we'll try to understand the relationship between each of the tokens, bigrams, unigrams, and then you remember we talked about context and all. So we'll talk about those. But the very first is tokenization, right? So that's how we're going to do that. So word tokenize is my function available under my module tokenize, and we're going to use that to split up my data here, right? It's a very simple sentence. So there are still a few issues here. I'll be giving you those issues, but it's a very plain simple sentence. I love my country. You can see that I love my country got split into multiple words. Hello Vanda, thank you for joining in. Cool. So that's basically my very first thing. So let's proceed. I have in the tokenize. So as I was using the word tokenize, I have also something called as Treebank word tokenizer. Okay, it's also almost a similar word. It's actually the similar functionality available within my tokenize module. So tokenize, maybe we can do it. We can do tokenization through multiple methods available, multiple sub functions available under my module. So Treebank word tokenizer is as a standard tokenizer, I would say, compared to word tokenize. And don't ask me why, because there are certain I would say edge conditions. I'll show you those edge conditions where Treebank word tokenizer is actually giving you sometimes better tokens, right? So what do you expect from it? Right, so again, it's similar to word tokenize, Treebank word tokenizer. Okay, so here what I have just done is, so from this same module tokenize, I have imported Treebank word tokenizer. Okay, and now I'm gonna call Treebank word tokenizer. So I've just created this as a function. So this is my function here, and I'm calling Treebank word tokenizer dot tokenize as my function. over my the module, which is over my sentence, which is my L of my country, and you can see this. I have my individual tokens here. Okay, so now everything looks good here. I mean, everything is fine. If I can do anything, so if I just pass the same thing, like for example this, look at this. So I can do it over anything, like say, hey, hello, or hello, how are you, right? So this is fine. I have my words here. Now I'll just put this. Did you notice? So till here it was fine. So now I have hello, how are you as my individual tokens. But the moment I put any kind of symbol here, like which is not a text, right? Now can you see this? Now this is also being considered as my individual token, right? This is one issue. This is one of the edge conditions. I'll show you another edge condition. So like for example, I have this, and I have like say this. Why don't you come here, right? So I have my sentence here. So I have my apostrophe here. Now look at this. Can you see this? Now when I'm tokenizing this sentence, where I have either a symbol available within my sentence or something like an apostrophe, right? So it is actually giving you a wrong tokenized words. For example, here can you see this? The do got separated, identified as a different token, and now this n apostrophe s got identified as a different token. So these are my edge conditions basically. So if my sentence is not a plain simple sentences, the standard tokens does not really work well, right? So I mean, this is one of the edge conditions. So now to tackle these issues only, we have another set of tokenization available, which is through punctuations. Okay, so I mean, punctuation is my general issue, and even if you do it with word tokenize also, right? So by Treebank word tokenizer or the simple word tokenize, you'll get the similar issue, right? So similar here, the earlier it was like WO was the first token and N apostrophe T was another token, but here WON is my first token and then T is my second token, right? So but again, it's still not the correct one, right? So whether you use the word tokenize or a Treebank word tokenizer, they both of them does not really work well on towards my the punctuated sentences, right? So for that, to tackle those edge conditions, we have two more tokenizations available. It's like punctuation word tokenizer or punct word tokenizer, or word punctuation tokenizer, word punct tokenizer, depending on your basically the version which you use. So word punct tokenizer or the punct word tokenizer. So what it does, it identifies your punctuations, it identifies your symbols within your own edge condition sentences, right? To identify your tokens. अभी हम कुछ नहीं कर रहे, हम simple सिर्फ tokens को identify कर रहे हैं. Okay, so for this we have another module available, word punct tokenizer or punct to word tokenizer, depending on your version. So here I'm importing word punct tokenizer. You can see this, and again I'm just initializing it with my method here, and I'm calling this function tokenize on top of my method. And here I have the same sentences. For example, I can't allow you to go home early. So technically, now look at the difference here. So now let me just show it to you here with the word tokenize maybe. So now in the word tokenize, if I pass the same sentence, so I have this. So I have, you can see this can't is not getting tokenized properly, right? This is my issue here. Now look at this with the word punct tokenizer. Similarly, now here, can you see this? My CAN is now being identified correctly here. So I'm able to see this. So I'm able to see my individual sentences, my words here. I mean, it is able to identify the punctuation actually, right? And again, I can do it with the Treebank tokenize here. For example, this one. Let me do it with this. So let me do it with this here. So I have this, and then I'm gonna pass the same sentence. Good. Can you see the issues? So that's the issues, right? So it is not able to identify my individual tokens properly. But again, to tackle those edge conditions, and then you can definitely ignore these, not text characters. You can always ignore this. And by default, whenever you go for your stemming or the further steps of your tokens, right? A single character words are anyway by default removed, right? So it generally gets removed. So we have the condition to take that, but again, it is able to identify the root word here, can. So there's some other strong tokenizations available. The ultimate objective here is to basically get the information out of your sentences, or in that sense, a paragraph also, right? So to get the individual small information, my first step, tokenization, right? Now here we are talking about the sentences, right? Now the second is my paragraphs. Cool. Now look at this, for example. So for the paragraph also we have the sentence tokenization. So here in this case, it's not the words we are talking about, rather the sentences, right? So here the splitting should happen based on the sentences, right? For example, here, can you see this? I've just written this. I'll just pull it back again. So now just look at this. So I have the sentences here. So like, let us understand the difference between the sentence and a word tokenizer. It is going to be a simple example, simple sentence, right? So here, can you see this? This is my whole sentence, and there's a full stop in between, right? So there's a full stop in between. That means that this entire thing is a collection of two different sentences, right? It's more of a smaller paragraph where I have two sentences there, right? So in this case, my tokens are not actually the words. My first level of tokens is basically my sentences, individual sentences. And to have that sentences split out from the paragraphs, we have another tokenization available, which is sent underscore tokenize, like sentence tokenize basically, right? And what it does, when you call this send tokenize on top of my text, it's gonna give you the simple sentences here. Like, you remember in the NumPy we also talked about basically my split lines or split, right? It's not exactly the similar thing. So when you go for the internal code base of these functions, right, you'll see the differences. But again, it's more or less the similar work here, right? So you're splitting the lines here, right? So I mean, that's what my tokenization of a sentence would mean here. Cool. So that's what send tokenize is giving you. So I'm passing my text over my send tokenize, and it's giving me the individual sentences. Cool. Right. I mean, that's unfortunate. Actually, I cannot share the notebooks, to be honest. It's like a proprietary thing now, so I cannot do that. But again, you always have the recordings, right? So you can always come back to the video and always refer the notebooks. I mean, that's pretty simple anyway, right? Coming back, ठीक है. अब ये तो हमारा सिंपल चीज हो गया. यहाँ तक तो हमें पता है कि हमें अपना वर्ड को कर दिया या फिर हमने टेक्स्ट को कर दिया. बट इसके अलावा ये तो हमने एक सर्टेन ऑलरेडी स्पेसिफाइड रूल है जिसके थ्रू हमने करा. लाइक हमें पता है कि वर्ड टोकनाइजेशन जो है वो वर्ड्स को स्प्लिट आउट करेगा, एंड देन व्हेन आई एम डूइंग द सेंट टोकनाइजर इज गोइंग टू स्प्लिट अप द सेंटेंसेस. But what if I want to do a tokenization based on my own logic, on my own rule, right? I want to specify that, okay, wherever there is a comma, use that as a separator, or wherever there is a number, use that as a token symbol. Like whenever there's a number, yes, before that is my first token, and then post that is another token, right? So you can also do your own customized tokenization, right? Because as I said, this whole data science stuff, right? So whatever functions I'm giving it to you, it's more of the list of available functions you have, okay? It's not mandatory that you have to use only send tokenize, or you have to use only word tokenize, or a Treebank word tokenizer, right? It's not mandatory. It's just the list of functions you have. You have to apply your own brains, and you have to understand that by applying which function you are going to have the best information available out from your given text or information you have, right? So it should be your understanding. So that is where I'm going to first tell you what all functions we have, and then you should be able to understand or differentiate your logic, differentiate your own text, and then try to understand, okay, इसमें मेरे को पंक्चुएशन ज़्यादा है तो मेरे को मे बी वर्ड पंक्ट टोकनाइज करना चाहिए, और यहाँ पे अगर डिफरेंट सेंटेंसेस है तो सेंटेंस टोकनाइज के ऊपर वर्ड पंक्ट टोकनाइज करना चाहिए. सो इट शुड बी योर लॉजिक. वो आपको कोई नहीं बता सकता है, आपके को सिर्फ फंक्शंस कोई बता सकता है, बट हाउ टू अप्लाई दोस फंक्शन इट्स योर ओन लॉजिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ दैट, राइट. सो फॉर दैट विल बी सीइंग मल्टीपल एग्जांपल्स. दैट इज द रीजन व्हाई आई एम गिविंग यू दोस एज कंडीशंस जहां पर आप इसको यूज कर सकते हो. बट अगेन यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड द कॉन्सेप्ट्स बिहाइंड दैट. ठीक है. So for the customized tokenization, right? So we have a very good tokenizer available, which is like regular expression tokenizer, right? Regex, agar if anybody is aware of how regex work, or if you want me to take regex separately also, I can do that. Just type in your chat. So I'll take a note and then I'll take a session on regular expressions. It's a very interesting topic, guys. Regular expressions. If you understand how to write the regular expressions in Python, it's actually tricky. It's actually tricky. And if you understand that, it becomes, your life will become very easier in text, right? You can actually do any sort of you can write any sort of regular expression. Basically patterns होते हैं. Regular expression like patterns. You're giving the codes for those patterns which you want to see from your text, which you want to see within your text, basically, right? So here regular expressions basically वही है. I can actually specify that what exact regular expression I want to give for the syntax of my text, and based on that the things should be split up, right? So that's where my regular expressions are used. Like for example here I'm using the regular expression of W. I mean, if you're aware of, so this basically this set means that any word like /W is like any word, any character basically, and I have given this list, outer boundary list, that means that all set of regular words. So that's what I mean, that's what it means here. So this is, I mean, don't ask me why I'm writing this, I'm just giving you, it's more of like all characters here, right? So so we can definitely Vandana, so we can take regex. I'll take a note for that and I'll tell you how regex work. But again, for now, just to understand this code, here this regular expression means that I'm looking for any set of characters, all the available set of characters available within my any word characters available within my sentence. This is what the regular expression means, and I'll tell you what it, and then for the later part. So for example here, right? So you can see this, I can actually use my own set of characters here. So now just look at this. So with this, can you see the difference? If I pass this won't is a contraction, or like for example, like, you know, simpler thing, like you remember I don't allow this. We were looking at this earlier, right? So you remember, even with the word punct tokenizer, it was still not able to identify the whole word. It was able to identify the root word don, basically, that's what it did, but it was still not able to identify the entire word, right? But with the regular expression tokenizer with your own specified characters, you are able to identify this, right? So now this is the ideal one. This is the actual one which I wanted from the code, right? This is the actual which I wanted from the code. So that's how you can always specify your own, but I'm just giving you one odd example here, right? So there could be n number of edge conditions. For example, now look at this. Suppose if my sentence is like this. So we were talking about the tweets, right? So for example, a tweet is like, say, hash tab good movie, right? And then people write what brilliant movie it was, and then this is this, had fun, right? This is also a tweet, this is also a sentence, but it has a lot of problems in this, right? First of all, this hash is going to be a problematic thing. It has to identify that this is an hash, and hash has not to be included. And then good movie is together, right? So because hashtags we write it without the spaces, right? This is again an issue here. So how it's going to identify whether the good movie is together or good space movie? And then it has some exclamation marks, and then that to multiple exclamation marks, right? So it has to identify that this is an unwanted character. And then I had another thing, another sentence here, right? So another set of word here. So this is a very complex sentence. I mean, for a human, it's very easy to interpret, but for a machine, it's difficult to interpret, right? So likewise, if you understand the regular expressions, right, you can actually write your own regular expression to just find out the right details for you. You can, and that is the power of regular expressions, right? And for that, definitely you should be knowing regular expressions. So I'll take a note for that, and we can take regular expressions in some other class. But again, so we have that option of regular expressions here. So your own customized tokenizer. So we can use that regular expression tokenizer. So we can always have that thing handy. Cool. So that is again very thing. I mean, I just showed you two examples here actually. So the first is basically using any word characters, and the second is using any white spaces, right? So it's a very simple thing. I can also, for this thing, I can also do even with any white space. That should be my criteria, right? So do not go with the words. Just look for the white spaces. So I is my first word, don't is my second word because I have the white spaces followed and the before, and then allow, and then this. So simple thing. Even with this also it will work, right? So likewise, we have to understand that about what exactly we are looking for, right? So this is basically my way of understanding things. So again, I've just given you some raw examples here. So this is basically your way of looking at the things, right? So do not get confused that I am giving something else or you should be doing your own thing. So the whole objective of having the regular expression here is you can customize your own tokenization. So that's the whole objective here, right? So yes, slash s for space is for white space basically. And likewise, we have n number of things, slash d, slash n, right? So there are a lot of such special characters available in the regular expression. So let's take it some other class. But again, I'll tell you, we have an option of specifying the character, the particular pattern which we want to see, and we can specify it in the regular specific characters. Cool. So now here, for example, again, this is again one of those strange things. So now suppose if I have something really interesting, it's something called as corpus here. So you can see this. I have introduced the term corpus. Corpus kuch nahi hota hai. Corpus is basically my collection of information or collection of words basically bol do. So it's like corpus is like a collection of text information is called as corpus, right? So again, suppose if you have something already available, you're not passing anything, you have a document available with you, है ना? I'll show this document also. मैंने इसमें कुछ करा नहीं है basically. इसमें simple मैंने 4-5 लाइन लिख रखे हैं, ठीक है? I've just saved a simple text here. So it's like a text.txt here. You can see this. I'm loading it from here, right? So what I'm doing is, I'm now in this case, I'm loading a file, loading a separate file which I have it in the system, like a simple text file. And in that, I'm using whatever information is there, whatever text are there as a tokenizer, right? So I want to first read this information, right? And I want to read this available raw file in my local system. And then based on that file, I want to split up. I want to tokenize each of the sentence because it's gonna be a file, right? There'll be multiple sentences. So I'm gonna pass the sentence tokenizer on top of that. And definitely in the sentence also we have punctuation sentence tokenizer. So let's see how it works. And to read up the corpus, we have a function called as web text. Okay. So web text में आप इसको इसमें actually आप directly pass कर सकते हो your directory for your file, right? So webtext.raw is basically the function here. Raw is for to load up your file, and webtext is the module available under the corpus. Corpus again, as I said, is the collection of your information. जहाँ भी आपका कुछ collection का बात होता है ना, collection of words, collection of text, वहाँ पे corpus हम बोलते हैं. So and corpus multiple times use होता है NLTK में, so I'll show it to you later also. But again, corpus is more for the collection of your words here. ठीक है? अभी मैंने क्या किया? Simple. Now look at this. I have loaded up this file, and this just now look at this. I'm gonna pull up the text here, right? So I have a text here. So for example, you can see there's a conversation basically. So since it's in a text format, you can see this, the format here /n/r for my sentences breaks, for my line breaks. And for example, the guy says, how old are you, right? And the hipster girl says, you know, I never answered that question, because to me it's about how mature are you, you know, right? So it's more of a conversation between a guy and a hipster girl, right? And there are there are 2-3 conversational text available here. So now I'm going to use this particular text of information into my tokenization, right? So I'm passing this entire thing over my the sentence tokenizer, or maybe the punctuation sentence tokenizer, more formulated one, right? And now let's look at the sentences here. Now can you see this? I have the line breaks. So earlier I had this codex of my line breaks, right? The /r or /n, right? And now with this, also ideally it should have taken this comma as your another word, right? Because that's what that could be an identifier. And also you can see this but. There are multiple sub punctuations available within my sentences, right? But here, using this punctuation sentence tokenizer, it is able to actually identify these punctuations are actually within your own single sentences, and the overall sentences are split up here, right? So now look at the entire sentence one. So now just let me print the entire sentence. So now can you see this? So these are your individual sentences available here. So this is my first sentence, right? And this is my entire second sentence. And now this is my entire third sentence. Likewise, this is my fourth, fifth, and sixth. And I can always, and since it's a list, I can always pull up any specific thing which I want. So if I want to do this, sentence, my bad, sorry. Right? So it's again a plain simple things. So plain simple text available here. Anything, I can always find out whatever I want, right? So it's again a plain, so the objective here is to just again convert the text into a readable format, and that text was actually available within your own system, within your own file which you have in your local system. And then post that, I'm gonna load up those files, and then I'm gonna see how exactly we can split up those information into the tokens here. And my tokens here are definitely the words, the sentences, not the words here, because it's a paragraph. Cool. So I showed you 2-3 things here. Tokenization, if not 2-3 things, I showed you multiple things. Very first thing हमने क्या देखा? Simple था जहाँ पर हमने word tokenizer का use किया. I'm passing a sentence, simple plain sentence था जहाँ पे कोई issue नहीं है. वो या तो हम word tokenize use कर सकते हैं या Treebank tokenizer भी कर सकते हैं. Simple है, दोनों ही same है. थोड़ा डिफरेंट सेट ऑफ रूल्स अवेलेबल हैं, पर ऑलमोस्ट सिमिलर रिजल्ट्स आते हैं. ट्रीबैंक वर्ड टोकनाइजर और सिंपल वर्ड टोकनाइजर से दोनों ऑलमोस्ट सिमिलर हैं. सेकंड हमने क्या देखा, जब हमारे पास एज कंडीशन है, व्हेंस वी हैव द पंक्चुएशंस अवेलेबल विद इन माय सेंटेंसेस, राइट? सो इन दैट सेंस यू हैव एन ऑप्शन अवेलेबल हियर, लाइक फॉर बोथ द केसेस, माय वर्ड का पंक्चुएशन और द सेंटेंस का पंक्चुएशन, राइट? सो वर्ड के पंक्चुएशन में वी कैन यूज वर्ड पंक्ट टोकनाइजर और पंक्ट वर्ड टोकनाइजर डिपेंडिंग ऑन योर वर्जन, अगेन एज आई सेड. एंड सेंटेंसेस में क्या था, हम यूज कर सकते हैं पंक्ट सेंटेंस टोकनाइजर, राइट? सो दोनों में पॉसिबल है. अगेन in that sense, we were able to identify, we were able to solve some bit of your problem, but again not totally, depending on the edge condition we have. So on top of that, there's again a very strong tokenizer available, which is my regular expression tokenizer. So here it's more of a customizable tokenizer, right? So you can write your own logics depending on your own available information, right? And that could be your own pattern, that as I was showing you some edge conditions for exclamation marks, and likewise if we have some apostrophes, right? So depending on your sentence, you can always specify कि आपको क्या tokenize करना है, कैसे है आपका डेटा, आपको पता है आपका डेटा कैसे है, right? So आप regular expressions के through भी कर सकते हो. At last, I have I'm not specifying the text on the fly, rather I'm loading up a file, right? So I have a file already available in my system जहाँ पे मेरे पास text हैं already, right? So this is what generally happens, right? So you have a text already available, and then उसमें से आप उसको filter out करते हो. So like you can always do through using the corpus. Corpus is basically again by default corpus का lingual meaning यही होता है यहाँ पे कि you have the collection of information, collection of textual information basically, that's called as corpus. And corpus एक module भी है in NLTK. And इस corpus module के अंदर basically आपका यहाँ पे you have the functionalities available. So to load up my file, उसके अंदर web text है. So web text basically what it does, web text it loads up the file where you have the textual informations available. राइट. सो एंड एज आई शोड यू, आप वेब टेक्स्ट के थ्रू उसको लोड अप कर सकते हो उस फाइल को जो मैंने लोकल सिस्टम पे सेव कर रखी, जिस पर गिविंग द फुल पाथ नेम, एंड देन उसमें मैंने सिर्फ वहां से उसको वर्ड्स को लोड अप किया, ठीक है, इज लाइक फॉर एज अ कॉर्पस फॉर्मेट. एंड देन इवेंचुअली उसके ऊपर से मैंने उसमें टोकनाइजेशन ही किया है. क्या टोकनाइजेशन किया है? सिंपल, जो कि सेंटेंसेस है तो मैं सिंपल सेंट टोकनाइजर भी कर सकता था, But as I saw, as I was expecting, there could be multiple punctuations also. So I just passed punct sentence tokenizer, right? Instead of passing the sent tokenizer, which is a standard one, right? I did that, and then I got the sentences. I saved it in a separate variable, and in that variable, it's nothing but a list of my individual elements. List को आप किसी भी तरीके से index कर सकते हो. So I'm in this list. I'm gonna call each of my any of my variables. So even I can just pass it on the loop. So like for I in cents underscore 1, right? So say print I, for example. Totally possible. It's again just a list, so I can use it howsoever I want, right? So ultimate objective here is, guys, जो इस step में हम कर रहे हैं वो आपका है, हम जो original data है मेरे पास, rather be it a paragraph or a word or a text or a sentence, I'm gonna convert into the smaller sets of information, right? अब in fact अब suppose आपके पास ये set of information है, right? अब इस I के ऊपर क्या आप ये पास नहीं कर सकते हो word tokenize, अभी भी कर सकते हो, right? And then you can just keep on saving in some other variable. So you have say some other variable defined here, say words, आपने यहाँ पे list कर दिया, and then you can just keep on appending words dot append, right? You can always do that. That is also possible. So it's like how exactly you want to use your own data, right? It's not mandatory that मैंने आपको send tokenize बोला तो वही करना है, उसके बाद कुछ नहीं कर सकते हैं. It's just the set of functions you have available with you. Now you should be in a very smarter sense, you should be able to understand कि आपको इसके बाद next step क्या करना है, how you want to use that, है ना? So ये tokenization का method हुआ. इसमें किसी को यहाँ तक कोई issue है, guys? बिकॉज इसके बाद हम नेक्स्ट सेट ऑफ इन्फॉर्मेशन में जाएंगे, स्टॉप वर्ड्स हम पढ़ेंगे, लेमेटाइजेशन पढ़ेंगे, स्टेमिंग पढ़ेंगे. बट यहाँ तक जो मेरा ये दिस इज माई वेरी फर्स्ट स्टेप, गाइज, वेरी फर्स्ट स्टेप. एंड जो जितने ब्रॉड लेवल में टोकनाइजेशन अवेलेबल है, जो एक्चुअली मैंने अब तक अपने लाइफ में यूज करे, मैंने वो सब मेंशन कर दिया. देयर आर स्टिल वन और टू, बट अगेन देयर आर स्टिल डिफरेंट वन. सो जैसे यूज होगा मैं बता दूंगा. बट अगेन दीज आर द वेरी स्टैंडर्ड वंस विच आर मोस्ट प्रोमिनेंटली यूज्ड इन एनी एनएलपी प्रॉब्लम सेट्स. और ये मैंडेटरी है, आप टोकनाइजेशन तो करते ही करते हो, ये तो मैंडेटरी. एंड ट्रस्ट मी, रेगुलर एक्सप्रेशन टोकनाइजेशन इज द मोस्ट यूज्ड टोकनाइजर. सो आई मीन आपको पता भी चल रहा होगा कि बिकॉज हमेशा आपका टेक्स्ट जो है स्टैंडर्ड होता ही नहीं है, आपको उसको अपने हिसाब से कस्टमाइज करना होता है, राइट? सो रेगुलर एक्सप्रेशन जनरली मोस्ट फ्रिक्वेंटली यूज टोकनाइजर है. बट अगेन इफ यू हैव द वेरी स्टैंडर्ड सेट ऑफ फीचर्स, वेरी स्टैंडर्ड सेट ऑफ टेक्स्ट अवेलेबल, तो आप स्टैंडर्ड पंक्ट वर्ड भी यूज कर सकते हो और पंक्ट सेंटेंस भी यूज कर सकते हो. सो डिपेंडिंग ऑन यूज केस. So till now, anybody has any questions, guys? Just a quick yes or no or a thumbs up in the chat. Cool. So looks like people are comfortable. Again, as I said, so if anybody has any questions, do stop me in between and do ask me a question. हाँ Tushar, why not? You can always ask your career related query. Why not? That's what I have always been recommending also. And while introducing myself, I have always said that we can ask the questions on related to your career also. So please do ask your question. Do not hesitate. And again, guys, see, again, trust me, talking to people is an art, right? It's not easy to talk to people. It's not easy to speak up. And you do not realize that, right? It's always comfortable to just sit back, idle, and just listen to someone else talking. It's always easier because you're in your comfort zone, right? But trust me, speaking up, coming in front and talking to people, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not at all easy. I always lacked this skill in my school days, in my college days. I know it. I know it very well. But you have to overcome it in some point of time, right? Otherwise, you'll always be a backbencher. You'll always be the one who is listening. You will never be the person who is dictating your terms, right? So if you have anything, please speak up, right? So I mean, it's not a one-way communication anyway, right? So do speak up your doubts, your queries. Do talk, right? So it'll make the class more interactive. And I'm anyway not more of the classroom kind of a teacher, right? Who's coming and just looking at the blackboard and then writing stuff and then going away. So I'm not that lecturer anyway. I've always hated that in my life. I understand that. So don't compare me with such figure in your mind, right? So please open up and talk. Right. So meanwhile, we are waiting for Tushar to come up with this question, so we can proceed. Right. So the next thing is, now we have the tokens, right? So we have the tokens in place of us. I mean, with us. So now with tokens, what can we do? So now we have the words available, right? Now we have to somehow make sense of this word. We have to understand what are these words, right? I mean, they are just not random words. There has to be a connection between these two words. We're talking about the syntax analysis, the semantic analysis, right? So that is where we have to understand that we have to how exactly we can get the information from this basically my information available, my tokens available here, right? So for that, the very first thing which we have is the stop words. Stop words kya hai? You remembered I told you in the very beginning, I have something called as like when you were doing this tokenization. Just give me a show. Let me show you this example. Where it go? Where it go? Yeah, here. So can you see this? So as I was talking about the single character words like T, like I, right? So these are the, I would say these words are actually not giving me any fruitful information technically, right? And also there are certain words like my name is Arpit Jain. So is, right? So is getting repeated multiple times. So my name is this, he is doing that. I mean, like is, are, am, the, in, on, like prepositions, right? So they're the normal prepositions are the very common words, right? So we call them as stop words. Stop words in basically my text. So some words that are present in the text but do not contribute to the meaning of my sentences. Got it? So stop words are those words like for example, as I said, so my name is Arpit Jain, right? So even if I remove my and is, I'm still able to somehow get the meaning of the sentence, right? Name Arpit Jain. I mean, you're getting the point, right? So these are my connecting words. These are my prepositions. These are my connecting words, right? Even if I don't have it, I would still be able to get the sense of my sentence, right? So that's what. So the words which are commonly present in your text but do not contribute in the meaning of your sentence, right? So those are called as stop words. Such words are not at all important for the purpose of your information retrieval in the NLP processing, right? So they are not important for your information retrieval. They might be important for some other thing. I'll tell you where exactly, but not related to your semantic analysis, not related to where the place where I'm trying to get the information from my words, right? The most common stop words are like a, and, the, is, are, am, right? Very common stop words. So these are, I mean, suppose if I'm doing a tokenization, right? And in the tokenization, I have say 10 tokens, and that 10 tokens, I have 5 stop words like the, is, am, are. I mean, I can straight away remove them. I do not need them because they are not giving me any fruitful information, because ultimately now I'm processing this information, right? And always remember, my end objective is to convert these words into numbers, right? Ultimately, somehow, after all the drama here, after all the things whichever I'm doing here, the end objective is to convert the text to numbers somehow, right? And we'll be reaching to that point. So do not worry, we'll be reaching to that point. But here now I'm trying to put out some rules with based on which I can ultimately get the numbers out of the text, right? So the very first thing is tokens. Definitely मैंने words को, sentences को words में कर दिया, paragraphs को sentences में कर दिया, eventually sentences को भी words में कर दिया. Now उसके बाद जब हम syntax analysis, semantic analysis में जाते हैं, जब हमारे पास जो सबसे पहला चीज होता है जो हम देखते हैं जनरली वो है stop words, right? आपको समझ में आ गया stop words का background, right? Akshay, no problem at all. It's okay to be new. It's always good to start at some point of your career. It's totally fine. It's totally no problem at all. And every other time we start with some new topic, right? So we have started with natural language processing. This is one of the very key, I would say, topic in data science arena, and we talked about the NLP, the natural language processing. We started yesterday only, so we did the basic class. I hope you have followed that. If not, then it's okay to start now also. It's totally fine. So you can always refer the video, and then we can always proceed. So it should not be a problem. Right, so coming back to the stop words. So now you understood the stop words are actually not giving me any fruitful information for the process or for the purpose of processing, my natural language processing, right? So now here in the NLTK package, same under my corpus. So corpus, as I said, it's more of a collection of the words. So most of my collection kind of work, like, so whenever I'm passing so many functionalities over the collection of the words, collection of my the text on whatever we have. So we're going to be using the corpus, the module, right? So in the corpus module, we have something called as stop words as my function. So directly stop words is available. If we call stop words from NLTK corpus, it's actually going to remove all of your stop words. It's that simple. So again, I'm telling you guys, इम्प्लीमेंटेशन बिल्कुल भी डिफिकल्ट नहीं है, राइट? सब एक एक लाइन का कोड है. स्टॉप वर्ड्स में आपने इंपोर्ट करना है, उसके बाद सिंपल टेक्स्ट के ऊपर स्टॉप वर्ड्स को पास कर देना है. आप पास करोगे, वो सारा स्टॉप वर्ड्स को रिमूव कर देगा. इसमें कोड लिखने में कोई फैंसी चीज नहीं है यार, ठीक है? इट्स नॉट एट ऑल फैंसी थिंग इन राइटिंग द कोड. इट्स वेरी सिंपल, वेरी इजी. बट द होल कॉन्सेप्ट हियर इज टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट आर यू डूइंग, राइट? अगर आपको पता नहीं होगा, देन आप तो सिंपल जस्ट करते चले जाओगे, पता नहीं हो रहा क्या हो रहा है उसमें, है ना? आपको स्टॉप वर्ड की जरूरत है भी कि नहीं है, आपको पता होना चाहिए. जरूरी नहीं है आपको स्टॉप वर्ड की जरूरत हो, है ना? सपोज जैसे टेलीग्राम टेक्स्ट होते थे पहले, आपको पता है ना, टेलीग्राम टेक्स्ट होते थे. अब सपोज यू हैव अ डेटा इन विच यू हैव द टेलीग्राम टेक्स्ट. डू यू रियली नीड टू डू द स्टॉप वर्ड्स रिमूवल इन दैट? नो, नॉट रिक्वायर्ड. सो जरूरी नहीं है कि आपको हर एक कोड में, हर एक डेटा में आपको सब स्टेप्स फॉलो करने ही होंगे, राइट? यू हैव टू फर्स्ट अंडरस्टैंड कि आप क्या कर रहे हो. स्टॉप वर्ड्स का मतलब सिंपल यही है. स्टॉप वर्ड्स बेसिकली आर दोज टेक्स्ट विच आर प्रेजेंट बट उसका इंपॉर्टेंस नहीं है. जैसे सिंपल प्रीपोजिशंस हो गए, कंजंक्शंस हो गए, आपके कनेक्टिंग वर्ड्स हो गए, है ना? तो उसको हम स्टॉप वर्ड्स के थ्रू रिमूव करते हैं. दैट इज अवेलेबल अंडर एनएलटीके कॉर्पस. अब देखते हैं कैसे इंप्लीमेंट करते हैं इसको. सिंपल है यार, इंप्लीमेंटेशन तो बिल्कुल भी ईजी है, इसमें कुछ करना ही नहीं है. वेरी सिंपल, ठीक है? अब जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल हियर आप देख सकते हो, एनएलटीके कॉर्पस के अंदर मेरे पास एक फंक्शनैलिटी अवेलेबल है, स्टॉप वर्ड्स, जिसको मैं इंपोर्ट करूंगा एंड आई एम गोना यूज दैट. अब इसमें क्या है ना, एक अच्छी इंटरेस्टिंग चीज है. मैं आपको इसमें एक चीज पहले दिखाता हूं. ओके, सो हियर in this stop words dot words I am specifying English. So this by default क्या कहते हैं, in your NLTK corpus stop words it supports multiple languages, okay, and I'll show it to you multiple languages, कौन-कौन से languages हैं. But just look at this. So I'm just calling the list of the stop words already configured in NLTK, right? So NLTK has already configured those stop words, and now look at this. Can you see this? This is the entire list of stop words which is by default present in the package, like it's, her, me, in, they, be, won't, who, might, under, when, from, below, why, whom, between, right? You can see this. These all are somehow my conjunctions or connecting words or prepositions, right? So these are my stop words which are generally part of the speech which we have, or the communication which we do, or the text which we generally write, but definitely not making any major impact into my information retrieval, right? Even if I remove this, it might be necessary to make a sentence, to frame up a sentence, but to gathering up my information, we can still remove this. We can still make out the sense out of it, right? So these are my available list of stop words in my corpus, in my functionalities available in NLTK. But again, guys, there might be a lot of scenario. Where we might see that, you know, and like out of this, I might need to add some more stop words. Maybe in my data set, I have say multiple hash is a stop word, right? I need to remove this stop word. Or maybe there's something else, like maybe I'm adding say name, for example. My name is Arpit Jain. His name is this. Her name is that. So name is getting repeated say 100 times in my paragraph, right? And I don't want name to be included. So I can add name in this list of my available stop words, and then I can always revise this list. This is just an available list of my stop words, okay? But this is totally modifiable. I can update this stop words. I mean, I can definitely save it in somewhere in the variable. I can always add it, a list of variable on top of that, right? And then I can always call the stop words on top of my available text, and then make the use of the customized stop words which I've created, right? For example, I'll just show it to you. So I'm just gonna remove it for now. Now let's look at the implementation part. Now suppose I have this tokens available. So now I'm talking about the tokens. Okay, I'm not writing the words again. So now I have reduced to the tokens. You can see this. I'm not writing a sentence here. I am a writer. It should be a sentence. I am a writer. But now I have. I'm convinced that you guys know what are tokens. So I'm not talking about the sentence anymore. I'm talking about the tokens now, because tokens is my first step anyway. And post that I'm gonna do this. You know. So now I have this thing done. So I have my tokens available here. Now on this tokens, I'm just doing a plain simple list का analysis, right? List में क्या लिखा मैंने? Word for word in word. So basically I'm passing a loop. So it's like a for loop on top of this. If word not in English stops. English stops क्या है? यार simple है. Set of words in my stop words of English, right? मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ? Now I want those words which are actually from this and not in my stop words. So basically I'm trying to remove the stop words. इसमें से generally क्या remove हो जाएगा? I remove हो जाएगा, am remove हो जाएगा, a remove हो जाएगा, है ना? इसमें किसी को कोई doubt है? Now look at this. अच्छा I नहीं था उसमें stop word. Okay, I नहीं होगा. I didn't notice that. So again, suppose if you don't want, if you want I also to be removed, you have anywhere a list of English stops. So if you just print the English stops here, right? So we've seen that. So we can always add I on top of that, and we can always remove it, right? So now I'm with the default set of available informations here in my English set of stop words. I am left with only I and writer. So my am and a, which is my default stop words, and is as part of my corpus. So that got removed. Simple है. Implementation में कुछ भी नहीं है यार, ठीक है? Do not get confused. बट कॉन्सेप्ट पता होना चाहिए. यहां पे किसी को कोई डाउट है तो प्लीज बता दो यार, ठीक है? अब एज ए सेड NLTK जो है ना मल्टीपल लैंग्वेज को भी सपोर्ट करता है. सिंपल है, आप स्टॉप वर्ड्स इसमें इंपोर्ट करा आपने. स्टॉप वर्ड्स डॉट फील्ड्स नहीं होता, फीलाइड्स कहते हैं इसको. सो इसमें अगर आप इसको फीलाइड्स को कॉल करोगे, सो इसमें आपके पास मल्टीपल लैंग्वेजेस दिख जाएंगे जो ये सपोर्ट करता है आज के डेट में. इसमें इंटरेस्टिंगली बंगाली भी सपोर्ट करता है. सो इफ any Bengali guys here, so you can always try this. It's very interesting. Okay, so you can always see the list of stop words available under Bengali, and then I have Arabic, Azerbaijani, and then I have Danish, I have Finnish, I have French. French is also very good. There are a lot of times we're doing this textual conversions, right? We talked about machine translation, so we use this French, German, and Spanish very oftenly. So Spanish, French, and German are most commonly used translated languages, right? So we use that very commonly. So, and then Italian also, yeah. So these are the European languages which are supported by stop words. So you can always play around with this, and always look out if you want to add, I mean, what all informations are available within that, and then always just look out that. Maybe I'll just show it to you, maybe some also. So just look at this. So I have set of say Bengali words. Now look at this. So Bengali stops. So I'm passing it here Bengali, and then I'm calling the Bengali stops. So now look at this, print stops. So I have the list of, I mean, I cannot read this to be honest. So this is a list of Bengali words I have. Okay, so which can be by default removed from your text. Okay, and likewise I can always call say French. So French is also quite possible. So I'm not just you calling this like that. So I have, you can see this. So I have all the votre, ave, el, aie, tu, right? So I mean, if you know French, so you can always have this list of words which can be removed from your text, right? It's very plain simple, guys. Always you have to understand that. So what concept you're trying to do, right? And why are you doing that? So that is something which is very important, right? So you can always have that stop words handy. As I said, so this is just a default set of words available, right? This is completely modifiable. It's again just a set of words, right? I mean, you have it's easy for you to use the available set of words, but again, it's totally customizable. You can use it based on your own corpus, based on your text, right? So you can always modify that and use it to your purpose. ठीक है, यहाँ तक किसी को कोई डाउट है यार? ये हमारा फर्स्ट आई मीन आफ्टर टोकन्स मेरा फर्स्ट एक कॉन्सेप्ट कवर हुआ स्टॉप वर्ड्स का. ठीक है, इसमें किसी को कोई डाउट है यार? एनी क्वेश्चंस गाइस, एनी क्वेश्चंस? Okay, Tushar says, is it better to move from Java full stack to MERN stack or the other way around? यार देखो, आप ऐसा करना क्यों चाहते हो? मतलब आई मीन टू बी ऑनेस्ट, देखो कोई भी फील्ड बुरा नहीं है. इफ यू आस्क मी फ्रॉम अ वेरी जनरल पर्सपेक्टिव, आई विल कम बैक टू योर क्वेश्चन. ओके, सो विच वन विल हेल्प यू टू गेट इनटू अ जॉब अर्ली? यार देखो, अगेन इट डिपेंड्स जॉब मार्केट पे कैसा. अगर आप मेरे से पूछोगे ना, अगर आप सिर्फ बाय डिफॉल्ट पूछोगे, तो जावा एक ऐसा लैंग्वेज है, इट्स लाइक एन एवरग्रीन लैंग्वेज, राइट? सो जावा की जॉब कभी खत्म ही नहीं हो सकती मार्केट में, नेवर एवर, राइट? So Java is like a bread and butter for the backend development, right? Java, J2E, advanced J2E, right? So it's like a bread and butter for your backend development. अगर आप सब मुझसे जॉब डेवलपमेंट की बात करोगे, तो Java is an evergreen field, right? So just take me from that. Java is an evergreen field. उसकी जॉब कभी खत्म नहीं होगी, and you'll always have an opening for that. But again, इसमें एक पॉइंट ये आता है. Suppose if there are say 100 jobs of say Java development, and say and then MERN stack के आपके पास है suppose 10 jobs, for example. I'm not saying that this is how the ratio is, just for example. But and you are able to crack that one job out of 10, and you're not able to crack even a single job out of 100 because the questions are very difficult, because you don't know that Java that well, but you know MERN equally well, right? So it also depends on your knowledge, right? आप jobs के पीछे मत भागो, number of jobs को मत देखो कभी भी. It should be like you have your own interest and also you know the subject. अगर आप technically sound हो, तभी आपकी जॉब लगेगी at the end of the day, right? यहाँ पे किसी की पापा की कंपनी तो है नहीं, हम we are not Ambani's, right? So हमारे पापा की कंपनी नहीं है. We have to get hired, and for hiring we need to have the knowledge, unless and until you have some setting in the company, which is in next to impossible, right? So if to get hired, you have to be knowledgeable enough. उसके पहले shortlisting वगैरह सब होती है. I understand that is a different ball game. उसमें resumes में काम करना पड़ेगा. But after all this, ultimately it's your knowledge based on which you're getting the job, right? So don't look out for the number of jobs. It's okay to get one job out of 10 rather than not getting one job out of 1,000, right? How does it matter? Even if there's 1,000 job in Java and you're not able to get even one out of that because you're not good at it, how does it matter? It does not really matter. For you, that one job is important. You can get that one job out of 10 jobs available in MERN, right? Because you're really good at it. So look for your understanding, right? So where you are good at. So don't go for the market, look for your knowledge. So that's my recommendation for you. Great. I hope that made sense, Tushar. Thank you so much. But it's a good question, yeah. It's always good to have that clarity in your mind. So what to do. So do not run behind the jobs, yeah. I mean, I've seen people doing that. अभी data science में बहुत अच्छा market है, so people are like crazily jumping into data science without even knowing. I just want to do data science. I just want to become data scientist. ऐसे नहीं होता यार. You have to know things to get into that field, right? I mean, if you're comfortable, if you know that, if you know the concepts, it's always good to move. There's no harm in moving into data science or any other field. I'm not talking about only data science, but for that you should be skilled enough for that. You should be knowing the things. आपकी blindly job नहीं लग जाएगी कहीं पे भी. ठीक है, चलो बहुत हो गया है. Let's come back. So that's about my stop words. ठीक है, stop words. I think it's pretty much clear with everyone, and I hope since I have not seen any questions, so people are fine with that. So let's proceed. My next very interesting topic is word net. ये actually I would say here we're talking about the lexical or the जहाँ पे grammars की बात करते हैं, lexicals की बात करते हैं, right? It's more of my semantic analysis, right? Again, guys, I'm still sticking to my basics. मैंने क्या बोला था आपको? मेरे exactly four process ही होते हैं, उसके अलावा कुछ नहीं होता है NLP में. First, morphological step. यहाँ पर आपका मेरा टोकन्स बना, उसके बाद मैं सिंटेक्स बनाऊंगा जब मैं थोड़ा वर्ड्स के बारे में समझूंगा, उसके रिलेशनशिप्स को समझूंगा, मैंने स्टॉप वर्ड्स लगाया, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट माई वर्ड का इंफॉर्मेशन, जहां पर हम स्पेशली बात करेंगे आपकी टूवर्ड्स माय सिमेंटिक एंड देन माय प्रैग्मेटिक, जहां पर हम बात करेंगे कॉन्टेक्स्ट की, लेटर कॉन्टेक्स्ट हम स्टिल करेंगे। मनवीर जी, आप न्यू हैं, ओके गुड। सो वी आर डूइंग एनएलपी हियर, नेचुरल लैंग्वेज प्रोसेसिंग। सो वी आर ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड, हमने कल पढ़ा था नेचुरल लैंग्वेज प्रोसेसिंग द कॉन्सेप्ट्स, आज वी आर ट्राइंग टू इम्प्लीमेंट दोज कॉन्सेप्ट्स बाय टेकिंग इंडिविजुअल कॉन्सेप्ट्स वन बाय वन इन पाइथन। सो दैट्स व्हाट वी आर डूइंग हियर, ठीक है। सो कमिंग बैक अगेन वर्ड नेट। सो मेरा नेक्स्ट टॉपिक है वर्ड नेट, जहां पर हम सिमेंटिक एनालिसिस करते हैं। सो हियर व्हाट इज वर्ड नेट, ठीक है। व्हाट इज स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट ऑफ दिस कोर्स, यार देखो, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द डेटा साइंस पार्ट हियर, ओके। सो दिस प्लेलिस्ट इज बेसिकली टुवर्ड्स माय डेटा साइंस एंड हियर वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट वन टॉपिक एट अ टाइम, ओके। So we have started with the visualization earlier, so how you do the data visualization, so we finished that, and now post that we have started with natural language processing, one of the key concepts of my data science. So we started yesterday only on natural language processing. So the objective here is to finish the NLP, how the concept, how you deal with the text data basically in data science. So that's the objective here, and the starting point is basically nothing but your yesterday's class for this particular topic, which is the natural language processing, and we're expected to finish this maybe in a week's class. So in a week's day, it's more like first we finish the basic implementation of all the subtopics, and then we're going to do a demo of a live problem, so we can solve the things like from scratch. So I'll just show it to you how we can do that on a data set. So that's what we do, and the starting point is basically yesterday's class for this particular topic, to be honest, Manvir. Okay, so I mean, if it interests you, please you can ask your questions, or I mean, whatever suits you. Cool. So coming back again, so WordNet क्या यार? It's more of a lexical database जहाँ पे which is created by Princeton, and it's a part of my NLTK corpus. Here we are talking about my nouns, we're talking about the verbs, we're talking about adjectives, adverbs, pronouns, all the different the sets of my information for the cognitive synonyms. Or like for example, if I have all the informations available, how my different words are actually, like for example, are they nouns, are they verbs, are they adverbs? So identifying, giving them each of these words a tag of what exactly these are, right? So and we, I mean, and grouping them into different the similar sets, or the syn sets. Syn sets we call them as like a synonymical sets, or the similar sets basically. So we are grouping each of these words into the similar sets of information available, or we call them as syn sets, right? So here each of these syn sets express a distinct meaning. So definitely a one group of words, maybe a group of nouns, or and any word also, it's fine. So that's my a collection of a similar meaning ka word that we call as a syn sets. So here some of the interesting use cases. So here what we can do is it can be used to look up to the definition of a word. So like for example, I have a word, say for example travel, right? So now I want to find out what are the different set of words which is meaning similar to travel, right? So which can be used along with travel. And if I have say 10 words available in my overall corpus, overall text, right? And all of these 10 words is somehow converging to travel, right? So it's no point of using 10 words or differently at my place. I can just use one out of them and then mention that it is repeated 10 times, right? So that's how the objective here. So WordNet is basically looking up to a definition of a word and then finding out the synonyms and the antonyms of those words. So the synonyms basically, as I've told you, to identify that if the similar word is being used say 10 times or 100 times in a word or a corpus, I can just do the counting of that, right? Do two vectorizers. I'll be going to about that. So then similarly in the antonyms, right? The other meaning, so the opposite of that particular word. So that can be used in the WordNet. Also, the word relations and the similarities can be explored using WordNet. So as I've said, so there are two different words, all talking about my semantic analysis here again. And definitely the ambiguities with multiple uses and the definitions. If the same word is having multiple usages, like as I've told you, what a good movie. Hey, that movie was okay. I told you, right? So again, this okay sense of this okay is different, right? So again, the same word is having different meanings. So here, again, the word net can be used. So again, a lot of different ways where we can actually use the available text here. So that's where my second concept comes about my semantic analysis, where we're trying to make more sense of the available tokens or more sense of available words which we have after the tokenization. So we're trying to make the sense out of my words. That's where the word net will be used. So we'll be doing my synonyms, we'll be finding out the antonyms, right? And we'll be finding out the similar sets, my syn sets, right? And based on that syn sets, we'll be finding out how we can group them, group a similar set of words together, and then finding out my individual meaning out of that. Cool. So here, for example, so now just look at this. So maybe we can do this quickly and then we can close it for the day. So for example, here, can you see this? I have this particular thing here. So I have from this corpus, again, my group of words, I'm importing the word net. So as I said, so the corpus is basically is for my collection of my words. So all the semantic and the syntactic analysis functionalities are available under my corpus. Most of the functions are available under my corpus. So here I'm importing the word net. So word net to create the synonym sets, right? So syn sets, the similar sets, right? So I'm calling the function, I'm importing this as wn, and in this word net, I have the function called as syn sets or the similar sets, right? So what it does, it's basically giving me the list of the all the available corpus elements where it is similar to this particular word dog, right? It is able to find out कि मेरे available corpus में what are those similar sets of words or the bag of words where I have the similar kind of information available. Like for example, now just look at this. Suppose I'm just calling this syn sets over my dog, and now look at this, call this syn here. No, I have not called this syn, it's for travel. Now, can you see this? So I have say maybe 6-8 synonym sets available, similar sets available like dog n01. So this is again a corpus available within my default set. And then the frump, I have dog n03, I have cad n01, Frank n02, Paul n01, Andy Ron Chase. So I mean, these are the similar sets which has identified from the default corpus available within my NLTK, right? And then eventually within these similar sets, I can call up what exactly word are present within these. Like for example, suppose, so I have this syn set say 0 I have, so I'm calling this syn set 01, right? And in fact, in this, I can call the name of my individual word. So I have, this is my name. So this is my name of my similar set. And in fact, on top of this, I can call the definitions. I can find out the examples. I can also find out the, in fact, the hypernyms of it. So now what are these? So instead, it's basically my the name of my the similar sets which I have available here is finding my in the synonym part. So this is nothing but my syn here. So this syn, all the available list are my similar set of informations are available. So how to call these individual sets? Like for example, similar. I mean just a list computation here, and so by default you can do this name. So it's calling your name of my similar set. Now what is this? So this similar set ka matlab kya hai, right? We can call the function definition on top of my synonym basically to find out to understand what is the definition of that particular word there, right? So for example, let's call this. Okay, now so I'm calling this dog n01, and dog n01 I can see the definition. A member of the genus Canis, probably descended from the common wolf, and has been domesticated by man since prehistoric times, occurs in many breeds. So I have a definite a dictionary definition also available for this syn set, which is my dog n01, right? So this is my syn set, and for that this is the definition available. And then I can also see the examples available in this. The dog bark all night. You can see this. I have an example available where it is clearly mentioning that the dog, right? And this is how it is able to identify that syn set, right? This is how this is pre-configured already. We are using the NLTK corpus by default, right? So likewise, we can do it for any word, right? Like most probably like cat, dog, I mean anything, right? So you can just define your syn sets, and then you can just keep on calling the word net, and you can find the definitions and the examples for that, how exactly the syn sets are being created, right? Cool. let's stop for the day. So we are pretty much covered a lot of things. So I think it'll be too much if I just go on talking, right? So maybe we can just keep things simple for now, and then we can proceed to hypernyms. Hypernyms basically creating my all the synonyms and all that. So we'll talking about the synonyms and antonyms tomorrow. So we'll do that. Okay. So I think let's stop for the day, and we have seen some really good examples. So we discussed about the stop words. We at the end we talked about the word net where you have the synsets available, and then based on that synsets itself, we'll be going deep again, and from each of these synsets we'll be taking about each words, and then from the words we'll be talking about the synonyms and the antonyms. So we'll and that's through my hypernyms basically on all the synsets available. Cool. I think that's too much of the information today. So we can wrap up for the day. If anybody has any question, just shout out to your question. We can take that on. Maybe we can just take a couple of more minutes before we wrap up for the day. So if anybody has any questions, guys, do let me know in the chat so we can take up those questions. Hanji Manveer, why not? Please do that. I think there is some network lag, to be honest. So if you see me mute for some time, just please bear with me. So I see a network lag of almost, I think, 15-20 seconds as always. So please bear with me for that. Meanwhile, Manveer is asking his question. Anybody else also has anything to ask, so we can take up the questions. Guys, again, I still say that I always recommend you to speak up. It's not a one-way communication. If you have anything which you want to talk about, just do let me know. Okay, he says I'm working as automation engineer. Okay, do automation and testing. TK. Recently, I explored a little bit about SQL, and I liked it. New explore data engineering. What when I can think I can move, and is it good to switch? Okay, switch to SQL. Basically, आप ये कहना चाह रहे हो? Yeah, देखो again, if you're an automation engineer, right? So you can actually use SQL. So you can be good at the database engineering part. So like towards your database management, SQL is where will come, right? So आप दोनों को साथ में use कर सकते हो. In fact, I've seen people doing the database management, automation on a database management, and in fact, that could be your additional skill set. Why you want to move towards SQL database management specifically? Automation engineering, like I would say, it's a good field because you're already into that field, so coding field. So I believe that's a good field. But again, if you have that interest in SQL, and if you have, I don't say how many years, I don't know how many years of experience you have. I mean, if you're still a fresher, with like say a couple of years of experience, it's not at all a problem. So you can always make a switch. It's easier to switch earlier, right? So I think that way. So I mean, it's your choice totally. So SQL, I don't see a problem in switching, but again, I see that maybe you can. I see a point of leveraging both of the skill sets, both in fact your automation engineering plus your SQL. To be honest. Data engineering versus data science, yeah, why not? So yeah, so broadly in data science is a bigger field, okay, first of all, and I yesterday also talked about this. So in data science we have broadly three classes of jobs available. Okay, the first is the analyst kind of a role, second is a data scientist kind of a role, third is the data engineering kind of a role. Okay, don't go with the designations, to be honest. I'll talk about all of these three fields. The designations might vary from company to company. For example, analyst can be called as a data analyst or an analyst or a business analyst or a data consultant or a BI consultant, right? So designations might vary from company to company, but the analysts are the people who are doing the number crunching job. So basically your SQL comes into picture. So they extract the data, they do the coding on the Python to do the data analysis, like more of number crunching and all that. And then eventually post that, they are posting of the things, and then doing the statistical analysis, and then coming up with the more of your responses, like your inferences of the data. So working on the entire end-to-end analysis of the data. That's what analysts do, right? The second is my data scientist, where these people are actually doing everything what an analyst is doing, plus the machine learning part. So apart from the analysis, they're also developing the predictive models or the analytical models, the deep learning models, and so all the AI/ML part plus analytics, data analysis is more of data scientist kind of a job. Okay, data engineering is completely different. So that's my third category of job. It's more of a DevOps. Like for example, suppose if you're building, a data scientist is building up any machine learning model after all the analysis he does, right? He cannot just keep that model which he has built, like the predictive model, in his own system, right? It does not really benefit the business. So for the business to get benefit out of that, he has to get that system running. He has to get that model deployed to the business, right? So that's where the deployment comes in. So for the deployment, there are a lot of architectures involved, a lot of infrastructure involved, like the cloud services, these days microservices, Dockers, containers, big data components, and message brokers, right? So all of the infra related services, like the more of computer engineering part, right? So we call it computer engineering part, DevOps side of the backend engineering, or the DevOps side of my data science. That's where the data engineering comes into picture, right? So that's the whole lot of difference between data science and the data engineering jobs. So data scientists are the people who are working on the data, doing the data analysis plus building the ML models, where the data engineering get those models from the data scientists. They do not build up the models, they do not do the data analysis. They rather help in deploying those built up models, which is being built up by data scientists, into the business using the microservices, using the infra. So they take care of the infra for data science. So that's what engineering does. I hope that clarified your question, Manveer. Okay, with 1.5 years of experience, yeah, so technically anything is fine. So I mean, it's not even an experience anyway. So if you're comfortable in SQL more than your automation, you can always make a switch. So if you ask me when, you can do it like today itself. You can start preparing for SQL interviews from today onwards. You can do a switch again. Again, it comes to the same point. Like it's not about multiple jobs. It's not about getting this one job for you, right? So if you think that if you're more skilled enough, if you're more skilled in SQL than automation engineering, then it's the right time for you to make the switch. But if you're doing this just for the sake of a job, then I would say it's not a good approach. So think before switching, because you're shifting a domain. So if you're good at it, because you just said you've started exploring and you liked it, does not mean that you're really good at it, right? So to be something which is so to be good at for a job, it's different rather than liking. So liking is different, and getting a job in that field is different, right? So be very sure of like what you're doing, and if you feel that you're really skilled enough and you have that interest in that SQL and not that much of interest in automation engineering, then start preparing from today itself. So to ask when, I will say today, if you are skilled enough and have interest in that field. I hope that clarifies. Right. Any other question, guys? Anyone has any questions? So we can take maybe one or two more questions before we wrap up. Yeah, if building pipelines excites you, then this is your field. Yeah, absolutely. So this is your engineering side. So I believe you're maybe from a computer science or an IT background. So definitely. So if this excites you, then definitely proceed for your data engineering stuff today. And it's actually very interesting. It's a very good field. So if you're good at the backend engineering part, this is your field. So you can take care. You can, in fact, I would say that building not only building pipelines, then let's take a note. Try to know the microservices also, like Kubernetes, and also Dockers, containers, and all that. So if you really become good at these, so I think data engineering is your field. Why not? And there are highly paid jobs in data engineering also. Cool. Great. So with this, I think we're pretty much good. Thank you so much, Manveer, and thank you so much others to ask their questions and being patient and making this class interactive. And I hope I made sense also so of whatever we talked today. Again, if anybody has any questions, do put up your chat questions in the chat. So, technical, career wise, I'm always open to talk, so we can always talk on that. But again, I guess if people are good, so we can close for the day. So we're gonna meet at the same time tomorrow, guys, 9 p.m. So that's when we're gonna meet, and then we're gonna again continue with the next set of informations we have. So we're gonna start with hypernyms. In fact, I'll give you this quick recap tomorrow, and then we're gonna start with hypernyms, talking about the synonyms, how we can get the synonyms, antonyms, the lemmatization, and all that. Right? Yeah. So that's what we do. That made sense when we also. So I got to know. So I mean, because you had an interest in that field, right? So I could gauge that you might be from computer science or an IT background. So definitely, yeah. So please proceed. So if you have an interest in the pipeline building up, and then you can take up the microservices, and that's gonna make a difference. So that's pretty good. Yeah, yeah. Always proceed with that. Cool, great. Thank you so much, guys. And then I give your evening back. Thank you so much for being with me today. And see you tomorrow at the same time, 9 p.m. with the other set of functions we have in NLP. Great. Thank you so much. Have a good evening ahead. Bye bye.